We are live. Welcome everyone to Custom Card Review. We're back at it again, trying to review some good old customs, the fruits of people's imagination, might I say. And I'm happy to be able to do these live streams again, because the last one seemed like a riveting success, so why not try and continue with them, eh? Now, having said that, we're going to try and get through a good number of these today if I can help it. At least an hour, maybe even going up to 2 if I feel like it. So, we're going to see what happens with that. And of course, having said that, let me go ahead and do one thing real quick. There we are. Now, in case any of my co-hosts come on by, they'll be able to co-commentate with me. Welcome in, Oscar. I see Melfi has already been here, declaring boom to start things off with a bang, or a boom, I suppose. What's good, Genesis? Welcome on in here. Alright, it seems like everyone's starting to come on in right now, so that's nice. And Botrix is also working correctly, as it should be, so yeah, all is well in the world. Alright then. So, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So, we have Hypernova 2233. Hey there, this is my first time posting on one of these. Long-time lurker on the channel. That now realized he isn't subbed, sorry, don't! But my parents finally let me get Reddit at the ripe old age of 17. Whoa, okay. Parents definitely told you not to go do the basics of terminally online. So I'll finally be able to post some cards. Let's go. Anyway, in order these cards will be new Rezion support, new Varka, new Sephiroth support, a new Bruce, Youth Burke, and a new Flagberg. 12 cards exact. Sorry, I got excited. Hey, well, on the bright side, you definitely got in right in time. Welcome on in, Ice. Also, I'm dyslexic. Understandable. So apologize for any grammar or spelling issues. I don't think that was dyslexia. It's just mistype. Plus, mobile's hard. I understand. Mobile is extremely hard, especially if you're playing Untap on there, which a few of my friends do. All right. So let's go ahead and get to it, right? Miraculous Inglablad. Bit of a interesting letter there, huh? What's up, crazy? You feeling crazy today? Rezion Lucifer. Oh, sheesh. That's not great. My Christian meter is firing off, bro. But not made the app. Gotcha. Well, unfortunately, if you didn't make it into the post, then that's then you'll have to share them on the custom card chat in the Discord. All right, so grade 3 with triple drive in Persona. Why triple drive? I mean, I know Bushiroad wants to give triple drives to literally any cards that they will make from this point onwards in standard, but I mean, the triple drive ability just printed on the card itself. That's a grade 3. If it was a grade 4, I understand, obviously, but it's got triple drive and Persona Ride. The hell. Anyway, so Keto Sanctuary, Angel, normal power, stat lines, all this stuff. Malware, same as Rasetsu just for reset. Oh, okay, so that's where we're going with this. Makes me even wonder why triple drive is here even more. That's kind of crazy, dog. Now, after the Vanguard circle, you energy blast 3 and discard 1 card from hand. Search your deck for up to 3 normal units with different grades. Put them in the drop zone. Any normal units. Oof. And shuffle your deck. Then you may take 1 damage, and if you do, call up to 2 units with combined grades equal to 3 or less from your drop zone. Huh. Now, I personally think this is an insane effect, being able to Foolish 3, but whoa! Oh, triple drive was a mistake? Well, alright. I mean, good to hear. Because I was going to be like, what the heck? That just seemed way beyond the pale there. Anyway, so this is a triple Foolish Burial, and kind of 4, I guess, because you're discarding anything from the hand. So it definitely sets up your drop zone just right away, which is a little bit of an interesting effect for Rezion, because usually you're supposed to get your pieces in there by the end of turn 3, or at least when you're getting to turn 4, you've drawn to the other ones or whatever. So this one reads as a turn 4 card because it's Malworm, right? But I don't know. I wonder, I guess you don't need to be in the Malworm state for this effect. So, It is interesting that he is murdering all of his allies, right? So he basically treats them as pawns. It kind of reminds me of Yugioh when he got possessed and corrupted by the Silvori Calcos. It's kind of like that mentality. On the Vanguard circle, in this unit, the Roundworm state attacks the Vanguard. Counterblast 1. Choose any number of grade 1 or higher normal units, so you drop a total grades less than or equal to the number of cards in your damage zone. Okay, so you cannot call triggers. You can call sentinels, but you cannot call triggers. Interesting. Call in the rear circle. Those unit gets 5,000 power for every 5 normal units in your drop zone to end it. Okay, so I kind of get why the normal units now, because you're trying to make sure your opponent can't like call that convenient trigger for the next scaling, but I almost feel like that probably should have been there, right? Every 5 normal units. Wow. Reporting for duty. Welcome in, Sergeant Luis. Catalyst be damned, bro. Catalyst could never, my dog. Catalyst be like, I'm a grade 0. What about me, Papa? And Rezile just turns over to him coldly and states, oops, I forgot to take you out of the deck. Hard knock life. So what if Simple possessed Akina instead of now? I guess this could have been a thing, right? I'd imagine that a Malworm Rezile would have some sort of like reckless abandon. So I think the deck mill is kind of a fair take on it, especially because you do get deck compression with that. Just instead of putting back triggers, you're taking out normals. Kind of neat. One thing I like about this though, in fairness, is that this skill right here would seem really avant-garde, but now makes more sense why you're doing this effect here. It really makes me, you know what's also really funny? Because because of this scale, you don't want to run Catalyst. But then that means with this skill, you need to dump specifically a 1, a 2, and a 3. You can't dump the normal grade 0, unless for some reason you put back so well. The grade 0 is the one, not the grade 1. Divine skill. Act on the Vanguard circle once per turn. Now, before I read this, I just want to mention that if this is modeled after Varga, then I assume it's a slightly enhanced version of the Miracle, because that's what Varga's divine skill was when he became Rasetsu. Soul Blast 1. Return all criticals and up to 3 other triggers. It includes the overtrigger. This unit gets a drive. By the way, like you said before, this is supposed to be twin drive, not triple. Until end of this fight, you cannot ride things that are not Rezale. And when you damage strike, you trigger other than heal. If you have 5 more cards than damage on heal, you lose his bonus. So okay, so the miracle remains the same. You can put up to 3 other triggers from the drop zone. Yeah. Now again, yeah, the triple drive here was a typo. You meant to say twin drive, so it is only 3 drives still. But damn. I think that's a little much for the divine skill, admittedly, because I feel like returning back the overtrigger's a little like thick. But I forgot the overtrigger existed again. All good, right? Again, you know, when I critique these, don't take it like personally, right? I'm not attacking you as a designer or anything like that. I just take the cards as I find them, which it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like lawyer talk, where lawyers say you take the client as you find them. This is a similar thing. I take the card as I find them. So okay, so I have a couple of like negative and positive critiques about this, right? Positive wise, I think this ability right here, while it is a little janky, it is a really neat ability. It combines the Malkuth element of taking damage in order to revive your allies, which is possibly worth it depending on the scenario. If you're going for the late game, that's awesome. One of the best things about this skill is that if the opponent kept you at 3 and you ride this sucker, you will be able to enable Rifistor and Gabelius right off the back. That's insane, and I love it. Like, it's a good insane, because you have to take that damage yourself in order to make it happen. And the milling here is a really interesting idea because it relates to this second skill. So the harmony between skills, there's a nice natural synergy there, right? In addition to the synergy that comes from just being, you know, Rezale by nature. What's also trippy about this is the called units getting 5k for every 5 normal units. Now, I could actually see where it would even be like less than that, be like 4 normal units or something like that. But the fact that the more that you kill off, the more that you sacrifice, the more power you gain is very peak for something like Malworm. So that late game scaling really favors Rezile, which then also favors you wanting to hold off to turn 4 onwards to use this divine skill, because then you'll be able to amass a bunch of triggers in there on like the early game, right? So you can't get the safety net if you're going to abuse this. But yeah, now having said that, this is a fairly abusable divine skill, and I don't like that very much. I also do wonder, I do wonder, right? Because, you know, these are like 3 very like powerful effects. I almost wonder if there wasn't a way for one of your assistant cards to be able to do the dumping instead of like just do this on your own. But that's just a little bit of a wonder. Ultimately, I like it a fair bit. I'd probably give it about an 8 out of 10. It's a little rough around the edges in some areas, and the 3 other triggers could use some work. But aside from that, I think it's a very strong starting concept. Angel of Cremation Ragwell. Ooh, very nice title right there. Ragwell was a Celestial, by the way, once upon a time, so we've seen that unit name before. When it's used, placed in the rear circle, but anywhere, important for Resile. If you have a Resile Vanguard, Soul Blast 1, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put all normal units from among them into the drop and shuffle. If your Vanguard is in the Malworm state, you may put any non-normal units on top of your deck instead of... Ooh, that's kinda heat, though. Oh, I see. Okay. I'm picking it up. Okay, I like that. Auto in the rear circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if this unit has been called from the drop zone this turn, it gets 10,000 power. If your Vanguard's in the Malworm state, okay, that's a good time to put in that clause. When calling cards from hand to Guardian Circle, opponents are called Garbage Tumor. Oh, okay, so Battle Door. You're doing the Battle Door clause. Definitely not worded the correct way, but I get what you mean, so it's worded well enough. Okay, so I'm a little iffy. I would say when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if it was called from drop, make it get 5,000 power. Then if you're in the Malworm state, it gets 10,000 instead and the Battle Door. The reason why is I think the escalation is better that way because we don't want to bully grade 2s too much, right? A grade 2 getting an extra 10,000 power means you can automatically go hit over defensive if you're going first. I feel like that's a little bit too much offensive power creep, especially for a more late game and tank focused deck like Resile in nature. So it's not that great, especially also because you're going to be you could potentially filter out triggers. Especially Stack Realm and Malworm, but even pre-Malworm, you're still filtering because you're just shuffling instead. So, yeah, overall, a pretty strong card. I like the aggression of it, though. It's sort of... What's interesting about this is that if Riftstor doesn't feel like a good kill bet, this is a great way to whittle down your opponent's forces, because what the opponent is going to want to do is they're going to want to eat up their PGs prior to Riffy, because Riffy is Elementaria or no guard, right? That means that you're going to punish the PG by making them call an extra card to Guardian Circle. That's kind of nice. What if Akina failed to break free of the spell? Yeah, it's possible this could have happened, right? It's very possible. Shoot, and it kind of makes you wonder what would happen if Kuon had also given up into it, and Malworm was actually something that had affected Levidras. Can you imagine a Levidras, but instead of like golden, like Imperio, he became red, like red and black themed, the way the Rasetsu was? That'd be freaking awesome. So Angel Judgment Fonwell. Now, it's a grade 1 within the general stats. Drop Zone Act. If this card's in the drop zone, you don't need this clause because it only activates in the drop zone. If you have a Vanguard with Resile in this card name, you may send the top 2 cards of your deck to the drop. Call to rear circle. If your Vanguard's in the Malworm state, this unit gets 5,000 power to end a turn. I'm gonna read the last bit here first before I comment on that, but it's a very like overtuned skill. Auto. This unit in the rear circle is called over and sent to the drop zone during the battle phase. You may put this card into your soul. Draw 1 card for free, and then your Vanguard gets 5,000 power to end a turn. If they're in the Malworm state, it gets 10. Okay. Okay. Whoa, bro. Okay. Fanuel. Man, Saragon who, bro? Okay. So, Fanuel is insane, dude. Okay. So, here's the play, right? Now, let me go ahead and type in for Varga real quick, because he didn't write it out, but he specified what he specified was the whole Malworm clause. So it says when it's placed by writing on a Varga and its different card name or a unit in the Malworm state, it becomes Malworm in its persona, right? Now the unit from a different card name is really important here, because if it wasn't for that, I would just ride this turn 1, mill 2 with Fanuel, overcall it, mill 2, overcall it, mill 2, overcall it, mill 2, divine skill right away, and basically deck compress until I only had triggers left in the deck. Triple drive and deck compress back over trigger criticals only. Peak. So what you want to do for Fanuel, in my opinion, is now this drop zone skill, right? This drop zone skill, I think, is not a bad idea because it does address one of Rezile's biggest flaws, which is that Rezile has a tough time building back board after it converts board into hand advantage, you know, i.e. dissection, no barriers, whatever. So this is a good way to counteract that, right? It's a good patch, but it needs a resource cost in addition to that, right? I think what you can do is have a resource cost, call it back, and then if you're in the Malworm, you can mill a couple, right? You can mill a couple, right? And then if you milled a trigger unit from the effect, it gets 5,000 power, so that you can have a little bit of a compensation. Because I feel like if it just calls for free as a 13k and you mill 2 normals is kind of big, right? Now this other skill, right? Putting into the soul and drawing one for overcalling is insane. Can you imagine if Alden had a skill like this? This would cook so hard. This would be like a replacement for Rashi, you know, brother. That's kind of insane. But anyway, so the one thing to note about this effect is this also probably needs a cost, but what I would say personally is you would bind this card as a cost, and then you can give power, right? You can give power, soul blast draw, something like that. So effectively what you're doing is by binding it, you can't recur it back, but you're able to convert into more advantage and power in the here and now. So you kind of take a stability piece and turn it into a tempo piece. That's the idea. Rezile getting all-in support again, basically unintentionally. So fun facts, it's so I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's Icelandic for Angel Blade. It uses Drake's Leaf as Icelandic for Dragon Claw, so theming. Ooh, okay, points for that one. Mentally polluted Rezile is willing to burn all of the possibilities when we get back his wife. Nice. Here, hence the addition in the middle of the deck, which Kagetsu's deck, I think that's a nice bit there. I do like the mill. I do like, so overarching, I would say this is about like a 7 out of 10, something like that. I think that Rezile has some really strong concepts, and Raguel has some neat follow-up with the deck manipulation, and Fanuel being a mill in order to call is also a nice concept, right? I think that the allocation of effects and the costs of them is a little overtuned, relatively speaking, but I like the theming of it. I think your concept is really strong here. It just needs some fine-tuning. But for that alone, 7 out of 10, pretty well done so far. Okay, so let me go ahead and pick up the pace a little bit so that I can get to some other folks as well. Invincible and Parallel King of Fate, Varga, Dragress, Asada. Okay, so Asada, which we already know what Asada means, basically. Now, this is what would have happened had Rezile lost, right? So we saw what happens if he loses up there, but now for Varga, this is that same basic continuity. So, grade 3, I'm going to assume this is supposed to be Twin Drive again. And it's just the basic stats. Now, out on the Vanguard circle, when this unit right at tops of a Varga, enter Malworm and gain all the divine skill of any Varga until end of the fight. If you haven't done so already this turn, Persona right. So, yeah, it isn't bad for a first attempt, Lucas. There have been much worse. So it's explaining Malworm for the most part in kind of an eloquent way. The only thing that's different about this is that it's getting a Varga, it's getting Varga's divine skill, which is really weird because why would you want Varga's divine skill? The only thing that I could say is that turn 5 you can get the other Varga's divine skill, but that just seems so late and you would need to run both of them. There's no point for that yet. On the Vanguard circle, whenever a rearguard's retired by this unit's skill, this unit gets 25. Huh? That increment just kind of messed with my brain a little bit. So you need 2 retires for 5,000 power is what this is saying. That's a weird increment. If it's activated 10 more times this turn, it gets a critical. Right, it's not once per turn. Well, because check it out, Crazy. It says it's activated 10 or more times. That's another thing that we've never seen before. Wow, this is really different. So ideally, you're supposed to nuke 10 units, get 25,000 power and a critical. That's what this is saying, and it's a really weird implementation, but like, here's what I would have said, right? I would have said something to the effect that every time a rear guard is retired, you get 5,000 power, right? And then if you're retired 5 or more, its original critical becomes 2. Now, auto on the Vanguard circle, when this unit in the Malworm state attacks a Vanguard, retire from a rear guard's unit gets 10,000 power. I'm not gonna lie, at this point, if this is what you're doing, you don't need this 10,000 power. You've already got this going for you. Okay, auto on the Vanguard circle once per turn. At the end of this unit in the Malworm state attacks a Vanguard, counterblast will retire all back row rear guards 10. This unit gets strike minus 10 turn. So, is this just Varga but with the critical? I mean, I guess I get it, because Varga's main thing is that it needs critical pressure. But, like... Yeah, I knew what I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to word it. It's really weird. The flavor text refers to the art of war. If your enemy is tired, give them no rest. Right, Asada, right, is the Hindu god. I made Drag Veda good in Varga. I regret nothing. Plus one of Varga's reliance on crit triggers for pressure. Yeah, I just mentioned that as well. So I gave it a crit that has counterplay to calling one or less rear guards, acting a passive. Yeah, I mean, I guess that I guess that's a thing. Yeah, it's pretty intense. Okay, Cephalogala Vartex. Hey, Fun Drive is back. Grade 11, 18k base, because that's what a Vartex is. When it's placed one Genisogui, right, okay. Because Eschatologui is basically the study of, like, the departure of souls to the afterlife, right? So Genesis Logui is referring to the beginning of life. It gets 10,000 power and critical during your turn. Yep. If you've got Hydreigon Dragon Tree markers that are 10 or more, it gets 10,000 power, also Vartex. Now this is where this gets interesting, I bet. Auto on the Vanguard circle, when this unit attacks you, 10 or more Dragon Tree markers Hydreigon on your rear circle. Whoa, okay, so we really want to amass them for this. Okay, it probably needs a little bit of helpers. This unit gets drive +1. Yeah, which makes sense for Sephiroth. Then you may energy blast any amount of energy from 1 to 9. You don't need to specify that. You would just, all you would need to specify is energy blast any amount of energy, or energy blast any number of cards, because technically energy is cards. You see them in the anime, put them on there. So just energy blast any number of cards. All of your front row units get power +3,000 to end of the turn. If you energy blasted 3 or more, stand all of your front row rear guards. Well, I mean, okay, you need this condition to, like, get there, so it's this condition energy blast 3 for front row restand. That's almost, I almost kind of like that, because that means Dragon Empire is not objectively the best one anymore for this guy. If you energy blasted 6 or more, one of your front row rear guards gets critical +1 to end of turn. If you energy blasted 9 or more, your back row rear guards get power +12,000 instant. Oh my god, though. Guys, the plan is simple, right? The plan is simple. Go first. Survive turn 3. Or turn 10. Or, well, yeah, survive turn 3. Go turn 4. Write this. You'll have 9 energy. Your back row is 20,000 power. And one of them's got a freaking critical. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I wonder what the, if Genesis Logui, you even get 10 tree markers without using energy. Even if you use some energy, you can always just, like, gain back energy as well, Graham. So Sephiroth goes net neutral, for the most part. It might actually go net positive depending on how your field setup is. Genesis Logui, there's a lot of setup here, but holy crap, that payoff is absolutely insane, dude. I get it though, it's supposed to stand all of your rear guards. I don't know about that power up being so strong, but I get the idea, because you're trying to emulate the Vartex win condition without using Overtrigger. Dragon Tree Bloomed Gaelic Binod. Now, one thing I will give him credit for, his names have definitely been on point for the most part, so I really love the names. He's done some research on them. So this seems to be a grade 2 Dragon Tree Wretch. It's nice Sephiroth being able to put to use. It's true. When this card is placed in the rear circle, Energy Blast 0, Counter Blast 1. Search your deck for up to 1 Mask of Hydreigon, put it in the hand, and then place 1 Dragon Tree marker on any of your circles. You know you can put a Dragon Tree marker on your Vanguard circle that way, right? I would say select a rear circle. Act on the rear circle. If you have a grade 10 Sephiroth Gila or Griffo Gila, there's no such thing as these guys that aren't grade 10, so you don't need to specify that. Your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater. You may put this card in a Mask of Hydreigon from your drop into your soul, and choose a grade Hydreigon unit for... It's a ride skipper! Guys, the plan is simple. The plan is so simple. Check this out, right? You want to know something that's kind of fun about Griffo Gala Vortex here? Check this out. Where is he? You know that energy gain? That's an axe skill. The plan is simple. In case you go first, you can get energy. But let's say you win second, right? You can Energy Blast 3, get cards, Energy Charge 3+, and then you go grade 10 to 11. The plan is go first, crazy. That's right. The plan is go first. Which is kind of remarkably what's happening with me right now playing Youth Perk and Tourney. Sephido Genesis Logui. Auto in the order zone. Beginning of your main phase, you may discard one card. If you do, Energy Charge. No, God. The plan is too easy. The plan is too easy. At this point, I will actually Energy Blast 3 from this skill. Thank you very much, because I'm gonna have excess of energy at this point. Choose the Hydreigon for your drop zone. You may call to the rear circle. All right. Discard a card with, which by the way, I'm probably just gonna discard the Hydreigon mode, then call back, so not really a cost anymore. Energy, so now act in the order zone, discard a Sephiroth Gila from hand, to draw a card, choose the rear circle, put a Dragon Tree marker, put the top card of your deck in your damage zone, place another 2 Dragon Tree markers over your rear circle, No! No! Holy crap, bro! No! You want the end of the world? Yeah, social energy blast type bitch. You see, that's what I was saying, Graham. You were saying energy blast. I'm like, now hold on there, Buckaroo. I feel like that's not gonna be an issue. During your turn, you have 10 or more Dragon Tree markers or Hydreigon rear circle. This is way easier now. Your rear guards get 5,000 power for each of your Dragon Tree markers in the rear. So every Dragon Tree marker is 10,000 power, chat, not 5. He's double the power free. The basic concept is cool, but 5 out of 10, 5 out of 10. It's so horribly unbalanced. It's insanely broken. No deck in the game can fight this. I see Ice, I see. Maybe we'll see him at some point. Oh. I'll get you my list later, Daniel. Force marker real. It's force marker. Dude, and you know what, Shirayuki? It's so force marker, you can actually put it on the Vanguard circle now. He has a card that lets you put it on any circle, right? Which one? Which one did that? It was this one, wasn't it? Yeah, on any of your circles, bro. Any of your circles. Force marker on that Vanguard circle. Go for it, bro. I'm gonna swing at you for 48k with a critical and 3 drives, and you're gonna take it. You're gonna like it, man. Wow. Diablo's Retribution, Bruce. Okay, so he's just a Dark States guy. When it's placed on Vanguard circle, beginning of your ride phase, you enter Final Rush. Wow, Final Rush got even faster. Now we final rush as soon as like the turn starts, which means that even the Diaboluses that are like axe skills work for you now. So you have access to all of your Diabolos, which fine. At this point, we can have that. Why? Just why? I know, right? It's insane. But what about Force 2? Who needs Force 2? Who needs Force 2? You want to know what Force 2 is? I'll deal you 2 damage by having 2 100+K columns attacking you twice. There's your Force 2. Oh, and my Vanguard's already going to be a natty crit at all times, so that's also your Force 2. Oh. Well, okay, so anyway, then if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, you only have Diabolos, you enter Final Rush. Yeah, sure. Continues with the Vanguard circle when you're at 5 or more damage in final burst. That's wow, ultimate break. That's neat. Your deal blows, rear guards, act, and auto abilities to stay if you're in final rest or if you're in final burst trigger twice. You do not pay the cost for the second trigger. And your caught skills that state are applied twice. You know what's really funny about this? If you've got Stephanie behind you and you take the 5th point of damage, you get to 23k base because this is just a con. Auto the Vanguard circle. After this card attacks, so at the end of the battle, if you're in final rush, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 2. Soul Blast 2. You can choose a column. Stand on rear guards in it. Worth. If you're in final burst, you can stand an additional rear guard. Worth. If you have 4 or more damage, you can stand this unit. Old boss get a busted effect, so its old support can be more busted. Thus, this is probably the most busted one of them all. Oh, okay. To be fair, I think Sephiroth would blow this out of the water. With Sephiroth Gila out there, your opponent's got 1 turn at this, dude. Your opponent's got 1 turn at this. My ass is gonna be like, you know what I'm gonna do, bro? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna leave you at 3 damage. The next turn, I'm gonna like 3 to 7 you. Dead ass, bro. Dead ass. Jesus. Revolt form destroy. Well, that's not really the naming of it, but naming convention not being quite right aside. Okay, cool name. What do you do? If this is what a Bruce and a Sephiroth Gila does for you, man, I do not want to see what an actually meta viable deck does. So it's a great 2-hit twin drive, Persona Ride. When it's placed with Vanguard circle by the Revolve Just ability, so obviously Revolve 4, perform all the following. Soul Blast 1, choose from 2 of your opponent's rear guard circles, send all cards in those circles to the drop zone. Ooh, removal, interesting. All of your front units get 10,000 power until end of turn. Sure. If your bind zone is in a Revolve form, this unit gets an additional 20,000 power. I actually kind of like that. Compared to Exist, this one has like the overall power of it still favors Exist, but this has some removal. If your bind card is a card with the same name as this unit gets continuous. Your opponent cannot card this card with Sentinels. No. During the battle, this unit attacks when your opponent will call from hand to guard service call 3 or more. No. And then just ride removal form. There's markers as well. It does. It's okay. Sephiroth will make another 5 more. You know what's funny about this? You know what's funny? What is Overdress supposed to do about this? Something tells me Kuon would not have won that match if this monstrosity is what Raika brought to the field. Insane. Insane work. I will give credit though. I do like this clause. I think that clause is a-okay with me. This removal is not Keter Sanctuary. Don't get this anywhere near my Keter. It should be choosing for bot deck. It should be choosing rear guards and bot decking them. That's what it should do. Why is this? Why? By the way, why is this going to be a 53k minimum attack with Sentinel Restrict and triple Battle Door? I just wanted to ask. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. Revolt from Devastate, more like Revolt from Desist. See, that actually follows the naming convention, saying Desist. Revolt from Create, probably calls cards from drop zone. Orange, okay, so this says orange here. What did this one say? Lilac. So this one's the purple. So destroy is purple. This is orange. So this is the orange dreamsicle. List. The text box is VSR sized. Excellent. Very in theme. You probably have to block with 3 units anyway. It still seems stupid. Yeah, the reason why I think it's dumb is that even if you threw OT, you still need 2 more to guard. It's insane work, dude. It is just screaming Elementary Sanctitude. At this point, I wish it gained the triple drive ability just so Elementary would be free. Alright. Counterblast 1. Look at the top 5 cards in the deck. Choose a youth perk, and you choose up to 1 youth perk card and up to 2 great tier lower units from among them. Add 1 to your hand, call the other to rear circle, and okay, shuffle the rest back in your deck. So you can call a couple cards off the top 5, or you can add a youth perk from it. That's actually kind of a neat skill there. It's like Tempest but stronger. It just doesn't have the removal part of it. It's gonna take a reason not to use Exist over Destroy. To not use Exist over Destroy. I got a reason for you. It destroys Overdress markers. That's a great reason. Another reason why is that if the opponent isn't, let's say the opponent is at like 4 damage, right? If the opponent's at 4 damage, I'm going destroy, bro. I'm going destroy. Until end of the next turn, yeah, it's, the thing is that this counterblast, it says choose up to 1 Youthberg and up to 2. It says add one to the hand, call the other, but he didn't say call the rest. If he doesn't mean call the rest, and that's a +3, that's insane. You get all of your units get 5,000 power, and all your units get contests cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. Your front row units get additional 5,000 to the end of the turn. See, you know what's kind of funny about that? This effect here is actually something that I designed once upon a time. I called it Revolform Resist. And I made them can't be chosen by card effects and 5k power until the end of the opponent's turn for all the rear guards. Which means the rear guards are kind of like higher base power and can't be chosen. And that's why it's resists. See, follows the naming convention and does that kind of thing. It's kind of cool. Okay, so it is just a +2, gotcha. If your bind stars a card the same name as this unit gets strike +2 at the end of the turn. Hell no, not for free. Don't do that. Brother. If you... Brother. That's this card, turn 4, it's a +4, it's a +4. Shoot, you know what's also crazy about this is, so this actually requires same name. You know, this doesn't, right? So, honestly, this is kind of a weird pick. My ass would just do exist and create. I would just keep doing, like, creates until I want to, like, kill. And then do exist and say, F it, I don't need that critical. Just beat them down. What the hell, man? Night of Rousing Hope, Confade. When it's placed on rear circle, if your bind stars a card with revolt form its card name, you perform one of the following. Countercharge 1 for free. Choose 2 cards with revolt form from the drop zone, put them in your soul for free. Or energy charge 3 for free. When it attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard has a card with the same name as in the bind zone, it gets 10,000 power and your opponent can't intercept it in a turn. You see, this is actually kind of neat. That's kind of a neat skill, relatively speaking. This doesn't need to be free at all. I don't know why it's free, bro. I don't know why it's free. Just because it's turn 4 doesn't mean you just call countercharge. What the hell, man? Holy crap. And it gives energy too, so now you can't even like energy choke, right? Like now energy blast is really back on the menu. Dead ass in this build, I might just do like Brady Arc, bro. The resource generation might be fine if it's a hard once per turn. Even if it was a hard once per turn, right? All you gotta do is just like do it once per turn, and that's fine. Like, you know what's so crazy about this, right? So on let's just say you just go turn 4, right? End Fade skill, End Fade's like CV1s, and it just calls Confide, and then Confide just countercharges you. You can do that, man. The hell. Also, what's really funny about this is that this is technically a way to like turbo, this is not a way to turbo full blast, but it is a way to like fix full blast, which is kind of cute. It's not really that useful, but it is there. So existence stability, the revolt forms are destruction creation, and yeah, color wheel, right? Commissioner swap create and tempest, I bet. How do you do hard once per turns in Vanguard? You have to state you cannot use the ability of a card with the same name as this card for the rest of the turn. That's how they stated. Okay, there's a Flagberg, but wait, and there's 3 more Flagbergs. Oh, okay, that's 1 more Flagberg. It's kind of a lot. Okay, I've spent like over half an hour on this. I'm going to skip the I'm gonna skip the Flagberg just so I can keep continuing on. So we'll end here. It's not Josh, it says without revolt form. Without revolt form? Oh! Wait, that's actually just... But then, like... If it's 2 cards without revolt form... Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing today, Ferb. I'm playing Reedy in this deck, bro. You wanna know what I'm doing? I'm playing Reedy. I'm making Reedy free, then playing Reedy twice. Now all my triggers get plus 10,000 power, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and swing for like quadruple drive, right? And from that quadruple drive, I've also deck thinned a couple cards, boy. Hell yeah. That's what I'm doing today, Mr. Krabs. You know what's also great? It's going to be, it says bind zone, so this unit gets drive plus 2, right? So discard, make it 5 drives. Make it 5 drives. 5 drives, baby. 5 drives. Hell yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to discard. I'm just going to play Sequana. Hell yeah, bro. Go Sequana. Go, yeah. Insane. Alright, my submission for the Malefic archetype. Okay. Let me go ahead and read through these suckers here. Seems like we got a bunch, so I'm just gonna read this, kind of quick here while I have a chance. Is there... Okay, well, I'm gonna have to... Oh, frick, there's a lot. Oh my god. This is kinda... I mean, artworks are cool, but thinking about it more, this is gonna be kinda hard to read, man. Alright. Let's see. Let me just pick out a 3, a 2. So that's the 0. Okay. So let me get Ride Line. Yeah, let me get Ride Line there. Screw it, I'm just gonna do it like this. Alright. Alright, so Ride Line. This is the Malefic archetype. When it's placed by writing from the grade 0, look at the top 10, reveal up to 1 Malefic, reveal, put in your hand, shuffle your deck. Hell no. When it's placed by writing from Crystalline, search your deck from a Malefic, reveal and put in your hand, shuffle your deck. Hell no. Why do these just add for free like that? And like, once just from the deck, bro. What the frick? Oh my god. Okay, so anyway, grade 3, where are you? This is Malefic Bearer of Unity. This unit gets 3,000 power at all times. So it's 13k base, so which makes up for the fact that it's 10k base, which is kind of weird, but sure. It's got a wow, it's got a thumb for a head. That's creepy. If it's your turn, it gets 10,000 power instead, so it's a 20k during your turn. Why not? When you attack, it's a Vanguard. Look at 10 cards on the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Utopic Dawn, put in your hand, shuffle your deck. This guy really likes Yu-Gi-Oh, but the artworks feel like it makes no sense. That actually is kind of a weak Vanguard, all things considered, which is interesting, because all it has is just a singular on-hit to potentially whiff a top 10 search. The whatever dress. The what dress? The something address. It's the mailing address, chat. Mailing address. 3 or more grade 3 apostle. You may place it on the specified front row units instead of normal writing. While this is in the mail address, you cannot call nor move units to your front or rear circle. Astral dress. The astral dress. Okay, so astral is in Zale again. This unit gets the original power of its original dress. If it's your opponent's turn, it gets half the original power instead. So this is just going to be there at all times. Alright. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. Counterblast 1, discard 2. Stand this unit gets drive -1 on a turn. Yeah, sure. Pretty basic, but I mean it's not bad. So the main thing is that it kind of overdresses over all the front row. Which means that he becomes the entire front row. So that means your opponent can't exactly damage deny it, right? What's also trippy is that it gets half the original power. So the original power of your Vanguard is 5k. Won't that restand make it super weak on the opponent's turn? Yeah, because it gets rid of 2 of its original dress. So I wonder why it's doing that. Because your Vanguard's going to give you 5k, so even if we assume that the others are like, what, 10k and 13k, you're losing those would just make you super weak. Huh, weird. This is Apostle Destruction Totem. What? Okay. This is a 25k unit. It cannot be ridden, attack or boost, and cannot be called other than by the ability of Malefic Bear Destruction Barrel. Soul Blast 1, it gets grade +1, so it's grade 1. And if its grade is grade 3 or greater, it gets Apostle, and this unit is regarded as being in the front row. Ah, okay. So that he gives his 25k power to it. When this unit's outer dress attacks at the end of the battle, they must suffer a triple battle door. That's actually kind of interesting. Not gonna lie. This deck has a lot of fallacies right now, but it's actually kind of got an interesting gimmick going for it. It's sort of a trippy. I guess it's kind of like the next step from the Overdress gimmick and the crossover dress is like this field dress gimmick that they've got going on. You have the Soul Blast 3 though, in order for it to like work as fodder for Utopic Dawn. Salvation Totem. It needs to be placed by Gonver. So Energy Blast 3 to give it grade +1, and then it'll. So you got an Energy Blast 9. That's way more expensive than Soul Blast 3. That's insane. When this card's outer dress is attacked, it may double its power until end of that. Once per turn. So it's only once per turn, but once per turn, you can get pretty big. See, that's actually sick. Okay, Salvation Totem's my favorite card out of this batch so far. So this is Bartley. If you've got a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Malefic, this unit may attack from the back row. Oh, I see why. Oh, this is also 10k base, so they're all going to be 10k bases. So they're adding 5s, meaning that he'll be like a 15. At the end of all this unit attack may put as an original dress for your grade 4 Vanguard. If you do, search your deck for a destruction totem called Root Circle. Oh shoot, okay, interesting. So it puts itself as original dress, which is how you're supposed to like maintain his power. Oh, you can keep doing that multi-attack, by the way, so he could be attacking like a bunch of times. Now he gets a drive -1 each time, so after the second attack, he's not going to be drive checking anymore, so he's only got 3 drives anyway. But okay, converting field power, it's just all this definitely like reinvents the castle strategy for me. Really reinvents that one. Malefic Delta Reactor. Order Zone. Rest this card, counterblast 1 or more cards, and soul blast 1 or more cards. Look at 2 cards to the top of your deck for each that you soul blasted, and reveal up to the same number of cards from Malefic. From among them is the number of cards counterblasted. Put them in your hand and shuffle your deck. So I guess the idea is you can CB1 and Soul Blast 1 to look at 2 and add up to 1, or you can CB2 and Soul Blast 2 to look at 4 and add up to 2, which is probably where you want to go with that. You know, honestly, that is a really interesting like blend of the cost there. I think that was fairly eloquently done, man. When this card, this is Malefic Rebirth Wave. When it's discarded for the cost of its outer dress, bind this card. Choose one of your Vanguards, gets 10,000 power to end of turn. Shazam, that's actually kind of nice. Counterblast 1, activate one of the following. Choose one of your Vanguards in the astral state. Put all cards for your drop so it's original dress. At the end of that battle, choose 2 of its grade 1 or greater original dress, discard the rest. Your auto ability is not activated from the discards. So you CB1, and for that one attack, you become Beeficus. You become the beefiest boy. Because guess who gets the original power of all of its original dress? Let's say that you put in like a total of 100,000 power. He'd be getting plus 50k for that battle. Yeah, that's worth the CB, dude. That's a funny ass card. That is a funny ass. You know what though? Screw calculating the power gain, because you're having to add up all their cumulative powers and then divide it by 2. 1 PG to ruin your day, but that's funny. No. Graham, this is a blitz order. This is during the opponent's turn. During the opponent's turn, you're getting that for that battle. For that battle, you are the biggest card out there. That's really funny. Return your Vanguard to your hand. Choose Vitalis from your hand, soul, or drop, and write it as rest. Oh, thank God. I actually probably prefer that skill. I would not mind not needing to juggle. Well, then again, yeah, because Vitalis is just a 13k base, like normal. That's probably good to me. Just a PG outside of some outliers. This goes so hard against Blankmeyer. Blankmeyer is like, I'm attacking for 71,000 with an extra critical thanks to my divine skill. What do? Me, the chat at over 100,000 power. No guard, over trigger to pass. Easy, easy. It's for that one battle though. Otherwise it'd be really busted, but it's freaking card. I mean, CB1 for Quintet Wall? No, sir. CB1 for that. Yeah, Drake meme. 2k power. So it only adds 1k power. I feel like I'm reading old Yu-Gi-Oh cards with a really goofy stat lines, like Castle of Dark Illusion. It's not that goofy, but still goofy. Wouldn't the effect negate stop that? Wouldn't the effect negate stop that? Yeah, I guess against Blankmeyer specifically it would. So that's probably a bad example. I guess a better example would be against Boss Sagada. So no, but what he's saying, Ace, is that Blankmeyer would shut down the continuous skill of the Vanguard to gain power from its original dress. So it would just be a 0k. Which means that what you but you know what is kind of funny about that Blitz order? Thinking about it a little more. If you check out like the Blitz order, again, where is it? Right here. It has the skill to ride Vitalis, so after they go Divine Skill activate, use this to ride back into Vitalis, and then the Hex of Zero is gone because the Vanguard that lost its effects is now been overridden. It's returned back to the hand, and Vitalis doesn't have to suffer that anymore. So even though this first effect can't counter Blankmeyer's Divine Skill, this second one kind of does. So that's interesting. And then, okay, so this thing's put itself as an original dress for your grade 4 and soul charge 1. Neat. When it's discarded for the cost of the ability of your original dress, bind it, choose a card from your drop and put in your soul. Neat. All right. Decent card there. Just build soul. Very little power to compensate for that, which I think I really like that it's very low power, like even lower than average to make up for it. No relation to Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, the same name. Well, I read that, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. Astral dress. Akin to the Overdress. It was still kind of a neat icon, though, not gonna lie. Overall, probably 7 out of 10. Really creative. Some stuff that I genuinely really like, but then it's really rough around the edges in other areas. Red line being free is because the archetype is super peaceful line. I kind of get that. I finished a card. Oh, nice to hear it, Oscar. All right, Soul Archer. What's up? So I go by Soul Archer on Discord and on YouTube. Yeah, University. On YouTube, I made this video recently where I made a custom ride line for brand featuring kaiju-esque aliens destroying stuff. This is my first custom ride line, so it may not be designed the best in terms of art or card design, but I hope you enjoy it. The concept is that this deck destroys cards in the enemy order zone. Impaldio, Odium, run now. A lot of Brandgate set orders resembling buildings or locations, which all fit more or less thematically. So this is an anti-Brandgate deck. And for those who don't play set orders, they send enemy cards to their owner's order zone face down, akin to them being in a reverse prison. So your opponent would have to decide whether they should destroy their face downs or set orders. I only got to the ride line since I made it for my YouTube video. And I have a set order planned, but I didn't have the time to do its art. This is all very new to me, including the use of Reddit, but I'm eager to see your thoughts and ideas, which should be changed or adjusted. Thanks. What's the video here?
Good day, everybody. My name is Rifan, but you can call me Soul Archer. I'm back with another odd designs, different card designs for the game is Brett, the creature.
Hey, yo. Yo, he's making it, bro. He's doing art, bro.
Design worked really well, and the strands shoot kind of looks like a kettle with.
Oh shoot, he drawn, guy.
I originally wanted to make it more slimy.
Oh, that's so rad.
Really nice with this design. So here's our grade 1 unit, Lazera. Kaiju warrior creature to be.
Oh, he's talented, man.
But then I realized that.
Shoot, this one kind of looks like a Ben 10 alien.
I didn't want that.
And this must be the grade 3, right? He's destroying the building in the background. You can see the cracks and striations on it, which is a really nice touch.
Fittingly, this guy.
Nice. All right, I'll leave a like there. Well done. All right, so let's go ahead and check out what you got here. So we're going to take the ride line that you put in, and we're gonna read this. Pulsation Calamity. So 5 cards. You been watching my video? Thanks. Hey, welcome on in. Yeah, nice video there, bro. It's cool. It's kind of like a mini griff. Yeah, it's kind of like a mini griff. It's really interesting because Kaichis has definitely been a prominent theming on in Brandgate, but we don't very often get their time in the spotlight. I think probably the best example of it was Zeal, personally, unless of course you include Edreglemma, but Edreglemma was just a mistake. You know, barring the bad, yeah, it's not very common. So this is Spawn of Calamity. When wrote upon you in second, draw a card. Now. Maw of Cataclysmic Birth, Lizira. When it's placed on the Vanguard circle, search for a pod card. Reveal it, put it in the hand, and shuffle the deck. Ah, yes. Peak Brandgate right line. Let's look at a pod card here. This is a pod. Not Pog, but it is Pog. Pod. When this card is put in the order zone, you reveal a Kamizira from your ride deck. You've revealed that, or you've got Kamizira. Draw a card. Very nice. At the start of your ride phase, you have an alien Vanguard with Zern, its card name. Rest all pods in the order zone. Your opponent chooses rear guards up to the number of cards rest for this cost and put them into their order zone face down. If one or less cards were put, draw cards, and your opponent puts the top 3 cards of the deck into the order zone face down. So how many pod cards did you accumulate, right? Because it says at the start of your ride phase, so doesn't that mean that if your opponent doesn't give you a rear guard in the early game, your opponent would mill 3, right? Well, that's vicious. Huh. I wonder about the balancing of that. That's kind of vicious. Now, this is Vorpulsation of Cataclysm Izura. When wrote upon by Kamizira, Soul Charge 1. Then if your opponent's order zone has a face down card, which it will because you're going to force it, choose a grade 2 or less card from your soul, you may put it into your hand. You know, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of surprised that the grade 1 nor the grade, well, the grade 0 is obvious. I'm surprised the grade 1 didn't have any sort of like rear guard utility, because there's a really, there's a world out there, but that's probably what you have to add back, right? Maybe you're just supposed to add this one back because it's wrote upon, and that's the idea. Now, auto on the Vanguard rear circle. Yeah, it must be this one then. When this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you may soul charge 2. Ooh, how dark states of you. Then, if your opponent's order zone has 4 or more face down cards, choose 2 cards for your drop and put them in your soul instead. Oh my, so all it does is soul. I am assuming that we're going to be building massive soul for Kamizira, shall we? Which is kind of nice because Zeal actually did something similar from V-Series. For those of you who don't know, that was Galactic V-Seal I'm talking about. Alright. Now, Avatar of Calamity, Kamizira, destroy the insurance company skyscraper. Auto on the Vanguard circle. Welcome, Tyrant. At the start of the ride phase, your opponent chooses 2 cards, or rather 2 of the rear guards, and put them into the order zone face down. If they did not choose 2 cards, you counter charge or soul charge 1. Ooh, this brainwave. This reminds me of the Thunderstrike variant of Draconic Vanquisher. Draconic Vanquisher Sparking. Sparking had the ability to make your opponent at the beginning of the ride phase bind a card from their drop zone face down. And not face down, just bind from their drop face down. Now, so face down is the leaders. I'm just saying face down a lot because I'm getting brainworms from reading these cards, right? You just bind a card from their drop to build Thunderstrike. And then if they had 4 or more Thunderstrike, you would countercharge or soul charge 1. So this is similar, but this one is actually just counting they were able to put the rear guards, which is arguably more vicious. Auto on the Vanguard circle. When this unit attacks, Soul Blast up to 6 cards. I enjoy Dark States in the House Soul, hence I enjoy Soul Effects. Well, I think it's kind of interesting here because you're dealing with a deck that is not so like a nation that's not soul oriented by default, which makes designing these more interesting because there are ways to build soul in Brandgate, some of them being avant-garde, others like Pokemon not so much of course, but some are avant-garde. So this kind of like opens the design space for that, which I always enjoy in customs because we get to be more creative than Bushiroad could be, relatively speaking. Now, put the same number of cards from your opponent's order zone in the drop as number of cards soul blasted for this ability's cost and perform all the following according to the number of cards put in the drop. This unit gets 5,000 power and enter the battle for each card put. This gets critical +1 if you got 3 or more. 6 or more, your opponent can activate auto abilities near the end of that battle. Auto abilities, which would by far and away include the Sentinel ability. So it is, let's say that you put 6, right? So the idea is you put 6, this gets 30,000 power at the critical and Sentinel Restrict, which is kind of like pre-revival V-Series card design, right? Now, that's actually kind of a neat win condition. It's pretty good pressure. It reminds me of Gravidia. Gravidia was also trying to just ransack all the opponent's rear guards and then get this really massively threatening Vanguard swing. Extra critical, dummy thick. Wait, this is just anti-center. Yeah, so right from the get-go, that's what Triple Rare here says. That's might be kind of a funny nickname for you because you got RRR, Triple Rare. Auto abilities, in case there are meteors. Right. Because the encased in the meteors is kind of a niche situation to what I would really expect to happen, which is that you're shutting down the sentinels. Now, this is an anti-Brant Gate. That's what it says. So if you're going Brant Gate into this, you probably lose the game. One of the saddest, it is ironic, one of the saddest things about this is that if this when this goes, there are certain decks that will get dismantled, right? And that's probably the one I love most of these concepts. I think the win condition is fine. It's very direct. It's very strong arming the opponent. Perfect for a rampaging kaiju. And the sole focus in Brant Gate of all things, unique direction. I think it's nice that Brant has something like that going for it with these kaijus. And it's cool that it's coming from the kaijus because it harkens back to Yugioh, which had a similar philosophy. So there's even theming for that, so precedence. I love most of this. The one thing I don't like is that there's some decks that will just not be able to play the game with this. Case in point, what does Impaldio do when System Code Exceed and all of its automods go to the drop zone? Impaldio can't activate anymore. Impaldio would be a vanilla Vanguard. On top of that, Odium as well. What happens when Odium doesn't have regress gauge? Odium won't be able to use either of her effects anymore either, because she cannot place the gauge, and she won't be able to have the gauge necessary for Divine Skill. In decks like those, this wouldn't be able to go as it stands. What I will say though is, could get rid of the prison, right? Yes, you could attack the prison. Funnily enough, for the price of Soul Blast 1, you might be able to jailbreak all of your units. Holy crap. Soul Blast 1 to call a unit from prison? Nah, fam. Soul Blast 1 to destroy the prison. Sigma grind set, bro. Yeah, it's a really good concept, but it's that bit right there. It's that bit where it's like, yeah, you declared it was anti-Brant Gate, so you knew what was coming with that. I just can't bring myself to like that, right? But everything about it, I absolutely love. So because of that, I am going to award it with an 8.5. The 1.5 negative is coming from the very glaring, it is just such a rough counter to decks that do not deserve to be countered that way, right? Generally in a strategy game, you shouldn't try to opt for effects that the opponent cannot play at all, right? So a counter like this is just not good. But everything else, chef's kiss. Really well done, brother. Now, maybe if it cannot target token order? Well, I think even then, let's just say that you're Odium, right? Odium can only build a little bit of regress gauge. If this attacks all of your regress gauge, you're never going to reach the condition, right? So even that's rough. If Vanguard, fair. Perhaps this could have been reworded better to make it more playable, right? What I think you could have done instead is this. I think what you could have done is you could have done an alternative to prison where, yeah, no problem, brother. 8.5 is a really nice ranking, really high. I'm pretty infatuated with them for the most part, brother. I think my one suggestion for the gimmick is you're trying to rampage by destroying buildings and stuff like that, right? But something else that kaijus do, right, is they're kind of like voracious world eaters at times. So maybe you could like switch up the theming a little bit to where, wait, it does not target gauge, but gauge is cards that are placed in the order zone. Now then, let's go over here. It's Whitefall last time. I'm trying to fix the one. Okay. Oh, right. Before I forget, I got a little absent-minded there. What you can do is you could try to actually make your own token set order where you consume them into that, and then you can actually put your opponent's card from that token set order into the drop zone to fuel the cost. So basically, you steal away their units and then you convert them into power. So it's like prison, but your opponent doesn't get those cards back, right? So that would mean that you can't eat as many the way the prison can steal, because prison will obviously let them go back, so that's the balancing of it. But even though you take less than prison does, you don't have to give them back the way prison does. Soul Awakened God, Luon, Avalon, wow! Let's go ahead and change up the music here a little bit too while I've got a chance. Now, Luon. I like me some getter, boy. I like me some getter. And so I'll take anything that makes getter good. And that will include Luon. Hell, especially Luon. I want me my horse knight. Now, so do you think Luon would like Uma Musume? Yeah, brain rot's pretty bad, huh? Soul Awakened Guard, Luon, Avalon. Continues with the Vanguard Circle. The cost of your Soul Rinsing Spring of Dragons is reduced by counter plus. Ooh, that's pretty huge, actually. That's a good effect. So for those of you who don't know, that's a normal order that allows you the ability to not only recycle, but also call back cards. Let me show you. It came on the triple drive booster here. So where are you? Here it is. So this is Soul Rinsing Spring of Dragons. So you choose up to 2 normal units from the drop zone. You revive one to the rear circle, and the other one gets bot decked. You also get 5,000 power to that unit. This is fairly good for a CB. Even to this day, this is still fairly decent. Doing this without CB is a beautiful. I love that. The fact they had the right on that for that, I don't mind that at all. I think that's awesome, right? It's basically like an extension of Luon's ability here, but you reduce the cost, but in exchange, you're still having to play the order, right? So you're still integrating the order there, making it feel worth it. Now, active Vanguard Circle once per turn. Cost Soul Blast 1, Energy Blast 2. Search your deck or drop for up to 1 Grade 2 card with Maris and up to 1 Soul Rinsing Spring of Dragons. Put in your hand and shuffle the deck? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That does help make Luon pretty good, bro. Okay, so, and now this is where I want to explain another card. So let me go ahead, duplicate here real quick, and then we're gonna back out of this real quick, and we're gonna go to Luon. So Luon Maris is different. This is Maris. So Maris is a 15k attacker that lets you get back a drive to your superior ridden Luon, when you Persona Ride. Now, one of the gimmicks of Luon is that you don't keep your drive checks. They work like Vanguard 0 drive checks, where you're kind of like flipping them and cycling them from top to bottom to try and check for triggers. That's how the extra drives work. It's very different from Youthberg, but it has a similar play pattern, it feels like at first glance. That's really good. At the end of battle, this unit attacked the Vanguard Circle. Put a Grade 2 Rearguard Maris into the soul. So that informs me that this is just meant to be a new base Luon. Search your hand or deck for up to 1 Grade 3 or greater card with Luon Maris and stay right as stand. Put all the cards revealed for a drive check of the battle that unit attacked the bottom stack instead to the hand. That's huge. Because that's the same. So I'm glad he's still keeping that restriction. If you rode a card from hand by this ability or Persona Road this turn, CB1 and it gets drive +1. That's a cool effect too. I like that effect. It's perfect. It's perfect, down to the last minute detail, to reiterate the Homelander meme, right? If you Persona Road, you're getting an increase in tempo. If you do it from the hand, which means you negged 1, you get more tempo even against a Grade 2. So you have like actually incentive to willfully neg. And here's the thing, you don't really care about that too much, because a homie slice, you just +2 off of this skill without using a CB. You can CB for pressure, even if it's net neutral. You can do that. Overall, fantastic upgrade. This is just Luon but better, and I think that's perfectly fine for Luon. Soul Awakened Dragon Steed Luon Maris. Okay, new big Grade 3. During your turn, if your soul has a Grade 3 card with Luon, its card name, all of your front row units get power +5,000. That's fair. That is totally up to par with modern standard. Auto the Vanguard Circle. When your normal unit is revealed in your trigger zone, Soul Blast 1 card with Luon or Mariston's card name. Call that card to Overdress. Or put in that. Shoot. And then rewrite it at end of turn. That's baller, bro. Okay. So that's so sick. Now, I gotta show you guys yet another card. This is just me like and by the way, I guess I should like, I should also just like show this off real quick. While we're at it, this is just me educating on Keter at this point, but it's good to educate. So all this guy did was to be a 20k3 attacker. That's all it did, was a 20k 3k beater, which was decent, but it didn't do anything else. It was, the whole point here though is that Luan just sucked up Maris in order to like get that superior ride from the Decker hand, so it was really easy and free for the most part. It didn't do it from the drop zone though, so you had to recycle with Soul Rinsing Spring if you needed to. Now, there's a, you have a searcher here, which is important, but there was a, God, what was his name? There was a Falcon, I believe it was. I think it was Falcon or Eagle. Let me type it in real quick. Let me see if it, yeah, here it is. This is Nosedive Falcon, right? If Crazy was here, he'd be really proud of me for remembering Nosedive. So Nosedive Falcon, it's a 15k, not 15, it's a 13k attacker slash booster, right? But that's only if your Vanguard was placed this turn, which is really easy because you're gonna be able to proc that every single turn. Now in the back row rear circle, when you place your Vanguard from the deck, you can counterblast one to stand and move it to an open rear circle. That open rear circle, by the way, it can include, it includes your Maris slot that you opened up, right? So now Nosedive CBs in order to get that multi-attack. You don't need that now, like at all, right? Instead, all you need to do is use the effect of your new Luan Maris and Soul Blast in order to either add or put it in the hand. And what's really sick about that is that what you can do is one of two things. So you can have Nosedive Falcon still in the deck, right? And if you do that, then you're adding the normal units to the hand. But if you don't see the Nosedive Falcon, then you're free just to call to an open rear circle. Now you have to Soul Blast the Luan and the Maris to do it. That's perfectly fine. You probably won't Soul Blast Luan until turn 4 because you need to rewrite back into Luan. So you'll be starting with Maris. And Maris is going to get bot decked or superior called from the effect of your Soul Rinsing Spring of Dragons. Most likely bot decked because you're already going to superior call off the skill of Luan Avalon. But you could theoretically call it back and then add a second one to the hand and just have like a front row of steeds, right? Which is very Luan. Overall, yeah, like 9.5 out of 10. Luan, it would be so back in action with this dude. I would love this deck to death. I would play it 100%. Like, don't get me wrong, this is definitely like really heavy-handed, but for a deck formula like Luan where it's really tamed, especially compared to stuff like Youthberg, which is its like predecessor contemporary, this is necessary. This is really necessary. So yeah, really well done, mate. Okay, discount foreign. I reworked this custom list for Flame Chasers many times to get the correct balance. I hope this is acceptable. Well, you know, acceptable is all relative at the end of the day. Even though I'll make comments, you know, maybe even be unintentionally mean at times, you know, at the end of the day, it's a person's customs are what they are, right? They make what the heart yearns for, even if it's horribly unbalanced, and even if I don't like them for that reason, right? You know, it's about making customs that you like, right? It's not necessarily about pleasing me just because I happen to be a guy with an opinion. Now, rank 2 ego, Alicia. This is a grade 1. Continues in the hand while you're paying the cost for stride. Well, that already tells me something. Honkai Impact 3. Okay, so this is Honkai stuff. Gotcha. Oh, HI 3rd. So Honkai Impact 3rd. Okay. So this is a stride fodder from the hand. If you have a 13 heroes of the previous era crest, discard this card to search your deck or drop off to 1 grade 3 with Kevin Kaslana. Reveal and put in the hand. Oh, okay. And then when it's discarded from hand during your turn, draw a card. Okay, so that is okay, so this third effect, I don't know why this is here, because normally you should be having grade 3s have discard effects. Also, it's whenever it's discarded like from your hand during your turn, so at least it's not Sentinel, but literally anything else applies to it, so that's pretty easy in my opinion. I don't think you need that third effect. I feel like these first 2 effects are perfectly normal for what like the grade 1 stride fodders in D series do. Glory to the 1307. Do not know what that means, but it seems like you're hyped. Rank 3 Discipline Apponia. Now this is the grade 2. When it's retired from the rear circle, if you've got a Kevin that's grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast to perform the following based on the turn this unit is retired. So if it's retired during your turn, until end of turn, your opponent would guard with 2 reward cards with different grades at the same. Wow, that's an enhanced battle door. Unless this is the final attack of the turn, that's absolutely giga busted because you're battle dooring like 2, 3, potentially even more attacks. What? During the opponent's turn, choose one of your opponent's front or rear cards. It gets during your turn, this unit cannot stand. That's kind of a neat defensive skill, admittedly, but ooh. This one I might be able to F with it, but that battle door should not be turn wide, my guy. Throw that on a Vanguard. Throw that on a Vanguard and have it for your Vanguard, maybe. But don't throw it turn wide. That has always led to problems, just like a Mellow Music Colossus. This is like a stronger version of that. Rank 4, Gold, Eden. This is a draw trigger with the extra field, so it's an effect draw. This is rank 5, Helix. This is an effect critical. Rank 6, Decimation. This is a grade 2. Let's see, intercept, all that stupid stuff. When it's retired from rear circle, if you've got a Kevin, perform the following based on. So this seems to be the gimmick of it. He's sort of a dual-faceted Vanguard. He retires units. I would assume he's the one retiring it, right? Because these guys don't retire themselves. He's got to be the one sacrificing his own units to make it happen. So he's retiring them, and then he's probably able to do it on the clause of when it attacks or when it is attacked, if I had to take a guess. And based on that clause, you get one of these effects. So that's kind of neat. Soul Blast 1 during your turn, and your Vanguard gets the about this unit attacked and hit a rear guard. This unit gets 2,010 a turn. Huh, that seems really bad, so I'm gonna assume that Kevin makes that good. Counterblast 1 during the opponent's turn. To choosing your opponent's front or rear guards, your opponent can call units on that rear guard circle. How do I post on Reddit? Oh, the Reddit post is closed actually, so there's no more adding customs into it. So you're not adding customs into it. I'm just reviewing the backlog that came from the custom card review. But maybe next season, brother. So, okay, this effect needs context. So I'm gonna continue reading for that one. So I'm not gonna say anything about it. This effect combined with the effect up here, basically is anti-non-Vanguard multi-attack. It's anti-rear multi. You don't have rear pressure here. Yeah, not at all. These guys only have the sacrifice effect. And you have the counterblast one for these stop effects, which means that CB is actually probably more for defense than for offense. So this is interesting, right? These are very interesting counters. Also, these can be retired even by the opponent's card effects. They don't have to be by Kevin, so it does punish control decks. But it does mean that it does mean that depending on the control deck, you may not be able to do this, right? Like for instance, right? Let's say that the opponent was Gondiva. Gondiva as an axe without committing any cards to the rear circle, was to try and retire, and they retired this one. Well, it probably wouldn't matter too much because they don't have a front or rear guard to choose. This one actually bypasses that because it just chooses the circle, and your opponent is just stuck with that static condition now. So this would actually hurt your opponent because they can't even call during the main phase. So I think Kalpus is definitely the more powerful one because that condition is like a lot harsher in most scenarios, right? I think in general, there's generally more ways to superior call, and even during main phase, you'll want to call there anyway, so that's probably the better one to go for. But there are some restands that are really worth noting, right? Because for all your Resiles and Vargas that are superior call multis, you also have Draduleds, right, that are stand multis, and even Zorga that's stand multi, so it's pretty interesting. Kevin is a person, an ordinary dude, first to shoulder the world on his back, become the hero of the trivia of the day. Interesting. Although, yeah, I guess it's just a kind of a tragic backstory in a way. Although maybe not tragic. I guess it kind of depends on how he takes it. Heal trigger. And then this is a set. Okay, so rank 7 is a heal trigger. Rank 8 is the archetypal sentinel. Rank 9 is daybreak, which are the great shoes. So it's retired from Kevin. Okay, so we already have an idea. Well, you have a great tier greater Kevin. Sent to the drop. You return this card to your hand. Wait. It just returns itself back? Well, that just kind of broke the theming. When it's put on Guardian Circle, it gets shield plus 5,000 to end a battle. Soul Blast 1, it gets shield plus 5,000 right before flame chasing your bind zone. Wait, when were we building binds? Huh? I don't know when we were building binds, brother. But okay. Oof. Oh, okay. I don't really like this card because it's just like a free bounce back shield, but then again, because it kind of goes against the theming, right? Like, what it should have said is when it's retired, if it's during your turn, Soul Blast one and bounce it back to the hand. Or if it was during the opponent's turn, choose one of your Kevins and it gets power until end of battle or power until end of turn, right? That's how that should have read, in my opinion, but that's just me. Rank 10, grade 1 normal unit, was retired from rear circle. We have a Kevin. Your Vanguard this unit gets 5,000 power for every 6 flame chase your bind zone to end a turn. So that's during either player's turn, which means that this is the kind of a defensive mechanic, but it's based on scaling and bind zones. So it's, I would imagine with the number that high, that's fairly hard to get like 212 even. So it's kind of strong. Counter charge when I draw a card. No. You're gonna want to put it like an EB, and then like this is what I would say, right? When it's retired, right, you know, do all this, right, until end of turn. Then cost Energy Blast 3 and counter charge 1 or draw a card. That's what I would say, right? Furthermore, one thing that's unfortunate is that these are retired from rear circle by any means, right? Which means that this is one that really punishes control like Varga and Gondiva. Like, it's sort of unwarranted to do that kind of level of countermeasure. I feel like it should have been retired specifically by Kevin. Like, they should have been chosen by Kevin for that effect, personally. Continues to the rear circle. You can only have one rank 10 Infinity Mobius in your rear circle. So, why? Okay. Rank 11, Stars Griseo. Okay, this is when it's placed on rear circle counterblast when search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 or less of these guys, or a grade 3 arms card, reveal and put in your hand, and if your bind zone does not have another unit the same name as the revealed unit, you may bind the revealed unit instead and shuffle the deck. But then it just searches your entire deck. What? It should have had like a top 7. Here's the thing. I think if it said top 7 instead of search the whole deck, I think you've got money. I think that's golden effect. When it's placed on the Guardian Circle, it's gets shield plus 5k, okay? And if your bind zone has 9 or more Flame Chase, Energy Blast 4, and it gets shield plus 15,000 instead of 5,000. See, there we go. That makes more sense. Now, this is rank 12, Vicissitude. Hooah! Normal unit. When this unit is retired from rear circle, well, you've got the Kevin. You Soul Blast one to choose a flame normal unit without Sentinel from the flop, from the drop, and put in the hand. I guess I would probably specify a different card name from this unit so that you don't like keep looping Vicissitude, but still. Auto the bind zone during the draw phase. If you do not have Vicissitude, you can call this to back row center rear circle, and if you called this unit in its column and its rear circle cannot be chosen, and be put on other than on rear circle by your. So it prevents choosing rear circle, column, and itself. What's this guy's issue with control? What would be the #1 strongest card? Oh, well, okay. I mean, I've got a couple different answers here. I mean, this form of stopping multi and just calling is really punishing, so it's close. I mean, maybe #12 because holy crap, dude, why be a control deck in this day and age when this thing recycles anything back to the hand during either turn, and during the draw phase for free, it calls itself to the back row, and now that center column is invincible. Whoa. Man, that's so mean. It is kind of neat that you're like assembling them a little bit. I do kind of remember that there was once upon a time, I think I read it Kevin Kaslana, because the name's kind of coming back to me a little bit. He had a bind gimmick. I forget what his like effects were, because he had like a huge scaling gem, I think, where he scaled to more binds, and so he was supposed to be the binder here. Rank 13 is just another critical trigger, so it rounds out your main deck basically. So you have no effect front, so you're just running 2 crits, draw, and also heal triggers. OT likely has to be a generic OT, and then you just have all these units, so it builds your deck for you. Overall, I'd say the core here is probably about a Probably like a 7.5. I think the dual-faceted nature is really nice, and you have a lot of good utility, but the blatant disregard for anything regarding control, I think, is just like not really fair card design, because it unfairly cuts out a fundamental aspect of the game in general. Like, it should not be doing that. And admittedly, some of these effects feel like a little too easy to me, and I also think that because they proc from either retires, there could be some potential abuse points, even if the opponent wasn't the one retiring them, right? For my Grand Peak getting revealed. Right. Oh yeah, you're waiting for it, Mr. Grand Peak Man himself. He's peaked us. All right, let me go ahead and check real quick how much time I got left here, because I might be able to continue going a little longer. All right, I'm not seeing anybody here, so let's see. Made a lyrical deck. How many more is it? Ooh. Whoa. Holy crap, that's a lot. What the hell is that? We'll get there. Okay. Let's see, it's 10, so I've been reading for about an hour and a half. Yeah, that's probably about right. Let's keep it to an hour and a half here. We don't want to be streaming for too much long at one time, because otherwise I'm probably going to start like waning and not giving proper reviews. So I want to be sharp when I review all these, because I want to give everyone the proper review that they deserve. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at this hour and a half here. We did get a decent chunk here done today, I'd say. Managed to breathe through some interesting kaiju units. I think the Kevin Kasana cards definitely had like some solid potential. The beginning bit where we were reading, there were some really interesting alt-world units for the Divines cast, right? Which I thought was pretty nifty there. It did kind of degrade as we were reading through like the use and the Sephiroth, admittedly, and I couldn't even get to the Flagbird, but I still thought that was pretty fun overall. So yeah, pretty good custom card review here. If you guys do like this series, then definitely gas it up and let other people know that I'm doing these streams so that we can get more people on this, because I'm enjoying these series so far. I like seeing the customs. It's more of like a card showcase than a custom card review. It's kind of fun. Yeah, it's I like it. I like doing things this way, right? So I'm gonna try and get the VODs out when I can. The first VOD took a while to process, so I'm gonna try and upload it at some point. Probably gonna be later tonight, in fact. So yeah, look forward to that. Anyway, with all that said, if you guys did like this, then definitely look out for some of the content I'm doing here, right? Sometime this week we're gonna get a fight night with Sienna. That's gonna be pretty nifty. And on top of that, we've also probably gonna be seeing at some point here, V Revival is gonna get its new set reveal. And when it does, there's gonna be a series of fight nights for the new V cards. So look out for those. Those will probably be dropping in like somewhere in the ballpark of 2 months, maybe a little bit earlier, a little bit later, something like that. So I just wanted to give a little bit of announcement there, because I don't know, it's something that I feel like it might be kind of topical to let people know that's on the horizon there, because that's kind of like a future plan thing. I plan to get done with custom card review before that happens though, and that's another reason why I'm bringing it up, because I want to give you guys a little bit of a timetable. I want to bring this to a head within the month, maybe some spillage into November. So at the very least, November is going to bring the end of custom card review this season, right? Because I definitely don't want people to be waiting forever for these. I've already kept you guys waiting long enough, so I want to remain somewhat consistent with this series, right? And having said that, thank you again to everyone who came on by. If you want to hang out with me some more, I'm going to be hanging with the boys, Maz, Nabs, and Noir over in Noir's Twitch there. Description in the video / live stream down below. We're going to be watching some Kamen Rider Double. So if you like some Kamen Rider, you know where to be. And with all that said, take care, God bless, and have a good night, y'all. Check you later.